Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial on Waltzing Matilda in Tommy Emmanuel's version. First, the usual stuff. The full lesson is split up into several parts and only the first part will be released on YouTube. For full access, you can check out my website or my Patreon page. Both offer different perks at different pricing points, so there should be something for everyone. If you want the tab and notation file, then do head over to the website, look up the song and click on the music notes icon. That way you'll get a 20% discount. No account or login is necessary to do this. So today we are going to take a close look at Tommy's arrangement for the unofficial national anthem of his home country, Australia. Now, I have done close to 70 tutorials on songs by Tommy alone, and it has been a while since a song's difficulty caught me this much off guard. I think that sort of happy and joyful melody lulls you into a false sense of security because this arrangement is not as easy as Tommy makes it sound. But maybe it's to be expected. Tommy has probably been playing this song since before he turned 10 years old. So he has been adding variations and fills for close to 60 years. The result is an arrangement that, despite being made up of mostly open standard chords, rarely does anything the same way twice. That makes for a long lesson. I go over all the variations, the ending lick, and I'll fix every single chord with the thumb over the side of the neck. I tried splitting up certain parts, like going over the chord shapes separately. If you have no problem with most of those standard chord shapes, you can simply skip past that section and gain an easy 10 to 15 minutes in this lesson. So let's dive straight in because we have a lot of ground to cover. Okay, so let's dive straight in. The guitar is in standard tuning. I'm using a capo on the 2nd fret. There are versions where Tommy plays this song without a capo on the 2nd fret, but because of a few chord shapes, a few tricky chord shapes in the song, it's probably going to be easier for most people to keep the capo on the 2nd fret, as Tommy does in most versions. I'm also using a thumb pick. It's not necessary if you just want to play through the song, but there is a final flashy lick, a really flashy one, that I think really requires the use of a thumb pick. And that is all. No extra tricks up our sleeve. We're ready to dive in. We're going to go through the first 8 bars now, which is basically a free time intro setting up the rest of the song. So here we go with the intro. And then straight into the next section. Now, let's go over the chord shapes first. There are quite a few chords in this arrangement. With the thumb over the side of the neck, you can get rid of all of them. So you can play the whole song without the thumb over the side of the neck a single time, but there are a few sacrifices to be made along the way. We start with a C chord, just a straight up standard C chord, ring finger, middle finger, index finger, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret. If you can't play this yet, then you're in the wrong lesson. So let's hope this is clear for everybody. Then we move to a G chord with B in the bass, middle finger, 2nd fret on the A string, pinky, 3rd fret on the B string. That is going to be the 2nd chord. And then a section that pops up a lot in this song to A minor. Again, just a standard A minor chord. Then you move the ring finger down to the 3rd fret on the low E string, giving you C with G in the bass. And then we end up for the first time with the thumb over the side of the neck, 1st fret on the low E string, and then ring finger, middle finger, index finger, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret on the D string, G string, and B string. It is possible to replace this. We'll worry about that when we get there. And then a chord that we all have to play the exact same way, an F sharp diminished chord, a small bar across 3 strings, D string, G string, and B string on the 1st fret. You're going to add the ring finger to the 2nd fret on the G string and the middle finger to the 2nd fret on the low E string. So you get 2nd fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret. And this is a chord that will pop up quite a lot in this arrangement. And then after that, back to C over G, we already know that, and then to a standard E minor chord. Tommy plays this with the middle finger and ring finger, despite the fact that you are going to have to pull off this, it feels like a stretch, although it isn't one, with the pinky to the 3rd fret on top. Some people might be tempted to then use the index finger and the middle finger. Don't do that, because for the next chord, we're going to shift up those 2 fingers, and we're going to add the thumb over the side of the neck again on the 1st fret on the low E string, together with the index finger on the 1st fret on the B string, giving you F sus2 with the 3rd fret on top. Now, again, this is not an easy chord shape. If you can pull this off with the thumb, it makes sense to play the E minor chord like this, and then move up the middle finger and ring finger. For people for who the thumb over the side of the neck is not possible, in this case you're going to have to go for a full bar. Add the ring finger to the 3rd fret on the D string and the middle finger to the 2nd fret on the G string, and then the pinky on the 3rd fret on the high E string. You're going to pick this with the fingers. With the thumb pick, we're going to strum down across all strings. If you grab it like this, you cannot play the A string, 1st fret. This is not F sus2, but F added 9th, which will sound fine in the arrangement. It's just slightly different. Then we move over to a G dominant 9 chord. Middle finger, 3rd fret on the low E string, ring finger, 3rd fret on the D string, index finger, 2nd fret on the G string, and pinky, 3rd fret on the high E string. Again, we're going to strum this with the thumb pick, just to strum all the way down. Now, if you play the E minor chord like this, up to F, and now you can keep the ring finger and the pinky where they are and drop down the other 2 fingers. This also works if you have the F chord like this. You can keep the ring finger and the pinky where they are and swap around the other 2 fingers. So make sure that you do this move as efficiently as possible. Then from that point on, it's mostly repetition. In the next 4 bars, it's again C to G over B to A minor, C over G, F, F sharp diminished, and then the same chords, C over G to E minor, and then the real stinker, straight up in the intro, Tommy pulls off a really awkward trick. It's something that I cannot get used to. He frets the F chord again with the thumb over the side of the neck, and he adds the pinky on the 3rd fret on the B string, giving you an F6th chord. Now he's going to pull off with the pinky to the 1st fret while moving the thumb up 1 fret, and this feels really strange for me. And I find it really hard to get any volume out of that pull off, so I'm just mostly going to pick that note. And then he ends up on the last chord that we need to look at, a F chord with G in the bass. So in this case, you're going to play the F chord on top with the pinky, 3rd fret on the D string, middle finger still 2nd fret G string, index finger still 1st fret on the B string, and then the ring finger to the 3rd fret on the low E string. That trick with the thumb over the side of the neck, again, we're going to replace that with the index finger as well. That is a possibility. Again, we're going to have to sacrifice something, but you'll see the trade-off isn't that bad. So those were the chords. Let's go over the picking pattern. This first section is free time. There is no steady beat, but I'm going to try and line out each and every note with a place in the bar so you have something to hold on to in terms of rhythm. So the first open E string melody note is in front of the beat. 3, 4, 1, 2. That's all that happens. Open E string, and then on the first beat, bass note, open G string, and another open E string. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Third and fourth beat is just a G over B chord. You plug the A string and B string together to an open G string, back to the B string, back to an open G string. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, to the A minor chord. You don't even have to fret the entire chord because we're going to be moving around quite a bit here. I do think Tommy grabs the full chord for optimal resonance throughout that whole section. A minor, you plug the A string and the B string first fret, and you add the pinky to the third fret on the B string. 1, 2, you move the ring finger to the third fret down below, C over G, and you plug that low E string with the open E string on top. 1, 2, the index finger is still on the B string, so we don't have to put anything down, we just re-pick the B string. 1, 2, 3. If you can go for the thumb over the side of the neck, that first fret on the B string can ring out while you add the rest of the chord. And then as you move to the B string, you remove the index finger, open B string, and then you drop down the entire F sharp diminished chord and you sort of roll through the chord, and Tommy plays the B string one more time and then sort of takes a break, which means that you just rest as long as you want before continuing. So just that second bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is where we land. Same thing without the thumb over the side of the neck. A minor, C over G. And now I think if you want to keep the index finger ringing out as we can do with the thumb over the side of the neck, then it's a little bit awkward, but this might be the most elegant solution. Middle finger to the low E string, first fret, ring finger, second fret on the G string, open B string, and that also makes it easy to move the middle finger up to the second fret and just drop down the bar for the F sharp diminished chord, which I think is an elegant solution too, as opposed to using the thumb over the side of the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, and landing on the D string again. So that might be the solution. I can even imagine people preferring this, even people who are capable of playing this with the thumb over the side of the neck, preferring this fingering because it's nearly as efficient. It just binds everything nicely together. Those first 2 bars, I'm going to stick to the thumb over the side of the neck. Landing on the D string, then to C over G, low E string, D string and G string together, and then B string and high E string. 1, 2, and moving to the E minor chord straight away with the pinky on top, and a big strum going down across all 6 strings. 3, 4. Fourth beat is just 2 times that third fret on top, just re-pick that. Move to the F chord, same thing, big strum, and re-pick twice on top, and then moving to the G dominant 9 chord, and that is where you end this phrase, again with a big strum. So starting from the C over G chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. On the third beat again we land and we basically take a break for however long we want. Same thing without the thumb over the side of the neck. Back to the E minor chord. And now we go for the bar, as explained in the beginning in the chord section. And end up on the same G dominant 9 chord. So again, an option to leave out the thumb over the side of the neck altogether. Those were the first 4 bars. Make sure you get this section as efficient as possible because this is going to pop up a lot throughout the rest of the arrangement. So the first 4 bars, one time with the thumb over the side of the neck. And now one more time, without the thumb over the neck. fourth beat of that bar, hammer on first fret on the B string to the third fret, index finger and ring finger to an open E string, and then we drop down another C chord. Again, just A string, third fret, open G string, and then with the index finger to the high E string, first fret, pull off to the open string, pinky, third fret, and we drop in the G over B chord. So the G chord, slightly different. A string, open G string, open E string, third fret on the B string. Let me count along one time just for the timing of those pull-offs. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We already know that section. It's the exact same thing, thumb over the side of the neck or not. You can pick whatever you want. And then on the F sharp diminished chord, Tommy does a little hammer on to the third fret with the pinky on the B string and pulls straight back off. But again, a break after that. Back to C over G. Same arpeggio as before, E minor. And now instead of re-picking that third fret, we drop the index finger on the first fret, high E string, to an open E string, and we move into the F6 chord, with the thumb or with the index finger. Both are an option. So let me play those 3 bars all the way up to this point. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Small break there. And now that awkward trick that I talked about in the beginning, Tommy rolls through the chord and then pulls off to the first fret with the pinky as he moves up to the second fret with the thumb. I just picked this, ending up in the F over G chord. I never get a consistent volume out of that pull off with the pinky. If you can pull it off, congratulations. For me, for one reason or another, it's not reliable enough. So I'm just going to pick chord to the second fret with the thumb, release the pinky, and then move over the ring finger and drop down the pinky on the D string. For the F over G chord, release the index finger, open B string, and end up on a full C chord, A string, D string, G string, B string. That's the whole part. That is how I would play that small section. Same thing, that last bar without the thumb over the side of the neck. You start with just a chord. You don't even need to grab a full bar, just index finger first fret down below, third fret, second fret, third fret. And now again, I'm going to force you into a really awkward chord just for a second. Index finger to the first fret on the B string and the ring finger to the second fret on the E string. That is just a bass note down below with that first fret on the B string, and then you can just move up the ring finger and drop down the pinky for the F over G chord. Again, I know this feels awkward, but it makes much more sense than doing something like this, switching to this, and then having to switch back to this. F6, bass note, chord, open B string, and landing on the C chord. Works as well. And this again allows you to play that full section without the thumb over the side of the neck. Those last 4 bars of the free time intro one more time. 2, 3. And then we dive straight into the next part. One time, without the thumb over the side of the neck. and then we dive into the next section. Before we do that, a full recap of this part with the magnet on the guitar. Here we go. So that was the free time intro. That is probably enough to get your teeth in already. Check out the chord shapes, see if everything works. After that, we're going to dive into the more upbeat part, but that is something for the next part of the tutorial. For those of you watching on YouTube, now is the time to switch over to my Patreon page or my website. I'll see you there.